Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? It's Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That means it's time for another Relic Grind. Ready Check Radio's Final Fantasy XIV Square Enix podcast. I'm your host, Mike Byrne. As always, welcome. We've got a great show for you here today. If you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, watching on YouTube, all that stuff, stop on by, ReadyCheckRadio.com. Do me a favor, upper right-hand corner is all the socials. It's been a couple days, gents, since we have picked up a Twitch follower. I don't like it. All the socials in the upper right-hand corner. Click them, give them a follow, subscribe, turn on those notifications, all that fun stuff. It's fast, it's easy, it's free. A great way to support us as we do what we do. If you like what we do, and obviously spread the word to your friends, check it all out. It's very easy. ReadyCheckRadio.com will give you all the info. Speaking of all the info, we're going to talk about Final Fantasy XIV. We're going to talk about Yoshi P wanting some changes and spilling a little bit of info about some upcoming patches, including .08, and when we can expect more from .1. And then we'll have a bunch of other Square Enix news. Joining me to go over all of it, as always, Mr. Chris Montoya, a.k.a. Tarkoth. How are you, sir?
Greetings, programs. I am 95% free from COVIDialicious and feeling better and getting some Savage done, too. That's been a good week.
Nice. So you are done Savage 1 and 2, right?
Si, senor.
And it was a like skin of your teeth, pulled it off in the last pull type deal. What happened?
Yeah, so we knew we were close. We had seen Enraged twice. So we were like, okay, let's come back Monday. We'll do an hour of overtime. We usually keep to 9 hours a week. So we did an hour of overtime and we were wiping and we're like, okay, one last pull and we got the kill. We're like, yeah. So nerd screams aplenty.
Congrats. So halfway there, starting Prog on 3.
Yes.
Also on Savage Prog, Mr. Adam Lane, a.k.a. Kronos. You're a little bit ahead. But not much. They're catching up to you.
No, yeah. We've so we're on this home stretch. We're about to be in the second half of the fourth fight. So we're getting there. We might kill it next week. We'll see. I don't want to say. I don't want to be too super hopeful, but we could kill it.
But within reason, it feels doable by next week. It's not like so. We're probably gonna need another week after this.
I think we can. Yeah.
Good. So let's talk about that before we get into some of the stuff that happened this week on Raideo Mog Station. That it's bless you, by the way, all of you that do the translations for Raideo Mog Station. You're doing the Lord's work there. I'll tell you that much. Thank you. There's too many that I look at to give lists for all of them. So just a generic love you all for doing the Japanese translations for those long ass shows. That can be interesting, but also sometimes have their slower, duller moments occasionally. Before we get started with that, gentlemen, now that you're halfway through it and you're almost all the way through it, Kronos, let's kind of take a minute and compare it, right? We gave very, very early impressions on last week's show because it was the first week you had to be able to get in there and take a look at it. What are we feeling? Does it feel on par difficulty-wise with Savages of the past? Is it a little disappointing? Is it harder than you expected? Where are you and your crew landing, Tark?
I think we're feeling like it's probably one of the best tiers that we've ever had. Right up there with like Creator, maybe a little bit more difficult than that, but I'm really liking it. Loving the curve and figuring things out. Especially with 2 and having the restricted arena, it really makes you think of your geometry and where you're placing stuff. I'm really digging this tier.
3 sucks. 3 absolutely sucks.
We've got 2 hours tasted on that, and the pace has really picked up. So we see this as the wall, but we're confident we can hopefully get it done this week.
Are you enjoying the fights though, or are they feeling like this is kind of a grind? learning
No,
these
not
and
yet.
then
Maybe
executing
in like
them.
2 months. We'll
Well,
get
yeah. That's just like the repetition. It becomes
Yeah.
a grind. I'm talking about like the fights just aren't interesting. You're not having any of that, any of your crew?
No, I don't. I think everyone's. My black mage is not liking to.
Yeah.
We'll get into black mage a little bit later, but yeah, he's not liking to very much because of all the movement and needing to go to specific points. But I dig this tier. It's
Yeah, we can go ahead and just throw out that concern. We thought, maybe is it possible they went with too much mobility for Black Mage? And I know I had already come back and said, no, that's not a problem. It's really, really not a problem. Kronos, what's the pulse of your free company when it comes to Savage Pandemonium?
No, we're having a lot of fun. I think we're pretty easy to please though. Like it's really hard for us to be like super disappointed.
Yeah, you're just like there's Savage content. We love it.
I do think it's a little bit easier, but it's like a first tier. So I mean, that's not surprising. I feel like this is just as easy as probably other first tiers. Feels a little bit easier than Eden's Gate, but not to the point where it's like less fun or anything. We've still been having a lot of fun. We've been progressing faster than we normally do as well. I think probably partially because of that. But the last two are definitely a step up from the first two for sure.
How bad is everybody jonesing for an ultimate at this point now? A little taste of some new, harder content, but yeah, how bad do you want an ultimate?
Yeah. I mean, we're already trying to figure out what we're playing in it, so we're already waiting.
Well, there's some jobs that just are not progressing well, so maybe you should
apparently there are some jobs that need to be fixed or helped a little bit. Don't worry. I mean, if you're Reaper and you see people calling for some nerfs to the old Reaper, don't worry. You ain't getting the nerfs. What the team would rather do is pull other classes up to those types of numbers and that type of performance. We got that and a lot more out of Raideo Mog Station with Yoshi P and team, where they did talk about some of the 6.08 details. And we're not going to get a ton of information about 6.1 yet, but we were right, gentlemen, last show when we kind of predicted, that's going to be like late February, early March when we get like a live letter and a big spill of all that. They did confirm it is going to be late February. They didn't even say it was a live letter, right? According to the translations, maybe it was just left implied in the translations. But they just kind of said end of February you'll have more details, a lot more details about 6.1. So that's probably when we can expect the next live letter. Some of the things talked about, though, just generically, we'll start with those. There's going to be announcements of status for servers and new servers and when sales will go up. They're kind of thinking they might be able to sell the game again next week. And that's always good for a company that likes to make money.
Sure.
Being able to sell the damn thing. That's pretty good. New Game Plus for 6.0 will be implemented in 6.1. Just turn that shit around real quick. Here you go. Have a 6.0. And that kind of makes sense. Like, it does seem a little fast, but this was the end of the Zodiac storyline, right? So you kind of want that in there as fast as possible, right, Kronos?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Because like you said, it's the end of that long run, and everything from here on out is going to be, like, new and fresh, I guess. So it makes sense that they would push that earlier, and then you'll probably see a little bit more delay on the next stuff, I would assume, when that actually comes out.
They're going to adjust some of the new NPC system that they used in 6.0 main story. They do agree that it was maybe rushed and a little bit overdone, something all three of us gave as almost immediate feedback, even in our pre-spoilers show, Tark, when we were talking about our initial impressions of Endwalker, and we were like, yeah, it's neat, but it is way overdone. Apparently, we weren't the only ones, and the feedback has been received, and there are going to be some changes there. That's a great thing. That is a great thing.
That is a great thing. I didn't feel it was overdone. You didn't have the option to not really use it. If you had someone, you had to go through those steps to guide them where they needed to be. So if you wanted to teleport in city, in Reset Town, let's say, You couldn't teleport from a spot that you have already and just be there. No, you have to go through and guide Grahatia through Razahem when you already know where you need to go. Or if you mount up, you just leave that NPC behind and then you can't finish the quest either. So I liked it. There just needs to be an option where if you don't want to deal with that, then you have that option.
I don't know. I just generally, at the end of the day, Cronus just didn't like it. Initially, I was like, yeah, this is really neat, and I can understand why they're doing it. You know, not only does it give you the cool G-Post stuff for people to take advantage of that, that's super cool. And I don't want it taken out because I know people like that stuff, and so that's cool for them. But we said it. This is overused. Every time you turn around, it's one of these things, and it's just slow gating things is really what it felt like.
Yeah, it's like I'm happy for the people that wanted to be immersed in that. I'm not one of those people. I like the game. I like the NPCs. I like reading their text and stuff. But I want to be able to teleport around and not leave them behind. So it's frustrating for me. And then because it's just so often used, it just kind of just makes you more mad every time. Because you're just like, I just got done with the quest doing one. Okay, here's another one. Here's another one. And then you go do a side quest and you're like, oh, here's one in a side quest. And I'm just like, please, can we stop? So, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely on the fence of I don't want to take it out either because I think it's a cool thing in the game. I just want to be able to turn it off or something. That's really my wish. Or at least make it where it's I can teleport if I want or mount up. Something.
Yeah, mount up is the big one. Mount up. I didn't teleport as many times as you did, but there were numerous times where I mounted up, got to the location, turned around, and was like, what the? Oh, come on.
Yeah. Now go find where you left them.
Yeah. We talked about Reaper not getting nerfed, but that's because the devs do want to buff somebody. They think that Black Mage and Samurai and Dancer could all use some higher damage. They are also talking about making some changes to some other classes that maybe support things a little more to get them some adjustments. Now, we already saw some little adjustments in 6.05, but these are geared towards 6.08. Kronos, I'm going to get your kind of take on this. Actually, all three of us will talk about it for a little bit here, because is it too early for buffs and nerfs in seeing what's going on? Are these the right classes that should be targeted? I said a couple episodes ago that I thought Black Mage needed a little bit of help, and I know both of you kind of poo-pooed me just saying, hey, you want your class to be stronger. It hits like a truck, Mike. What do you want? And I said, yeah, it does hit like a truck, but over the duration, I think it is a little bit behind, and I even qualified it. I said, not much, but I do think it's a little bit behind. Turns out Yoshi P and team feel the same, but they also feel the same about Samurai, Dancer, and some other classes. So let's talk class balance. Now that you're basically in the hardest content available until we get some ultimates at some point, are they in need of balance? Are these the right classes to be targeting, Kronos?
So before I say what I'm going to say, I just want to reiterate what I always say. You can beat the hardest content with any job you want, okay?
Yeah.
The balance that I'm talking about probably doesn't affect you. If you just want
You're
to play
talking about you personally go with the min-max level.
Yeah, I'm more talking about just the high end. I want ideally, right? Perfect balance would be everybody's DPS that they're contributing through the raid, buffs, or personal should basically be equal through the roles. That's ideal. That'll never happen, right? That's magical Christmas land. But
and of course, adjusting for player skill.
Yeah, right. Cool. Yeah, I mean, you have to take that into account too. So I don't think any class is so bad that you should be not putting them in your party finders, because there are people doing that. Please stop doing that, because that's stupid.
I'm seeing a lot of that for Savage now too. A lot of it.
Yeah, paladins are definitely the big one that is they're just no paladins. You can't come in here. You're not allowed. And to be paladins need to be buffed, which is I feel he didn't mention that enough in this list of things that he needs to be changed. And I think paladin's the most egregious thing right now. Paladins are just so far behind the other tanks. It's insane to me. But again, you could still I cleared on Paladin the first couple of weeks before I switched to Warrior, just because I'm more comfortable on it. So it's you can do it. it's not like paladins can't clear. Paladins have cleared the hardest fight in like base gear, so it's like you can do it. So like the people that are doing that, it's just dumb. But to the balance aspect of it, I actually do agree. I think black mages and samurais both debuffs. They're the one that really kills me. He mentions monk in here.
Yeah.
Monk is insane right now.
Yeah, it is.
If they buff Monk's going to be better than Reaper, and Reaper is pretty nutty right now too. I don't want to nerf either one. I actually agree with the balancing of bringing the other ones up to the point where like everybody's kind of hitting hard and it feels good, right? Because I think Monks and Reapers right now do feel good to play. So I don't want them to change that. I'd rather them make the other ones feel better. I think you need to mention Ninja. Like they changed Ninja, but Ninja still needs a lot more help. You don't see Ninjas like anywhere. Like no one's playing Ninja really. Paladins are in the trash can. Dancers are in the trash can right now. They definitely need help. Healers, from a damage perspective, is actually fine. I have my issues with healer, but it has nothing to do with actual damage. It's more just like quality of life stuff. And
particularly white mage.
Yeah, but it's like that's not like white mages can't. They're doing damage and they're clearing the fights. It's fine. It's mostly just like things I think don't really make much sense in their kit. But so I do hope that they buff a fair bit of the classes and bring stuff up. Like Dragoon's another one. I feel like Dragoons need buffs too, for sure. You just don't see Dragoons and Ninjas right now. It really, like, every party is like Monk Reaper, for the most part. And then honestly, Red Mage is a bit strong too, which is why I think Black Mage needs the buff, because Red Mage, the addition of Magic Barrier with also the, like, now they just melee combo all the time.
All the time.
So it's like they're actually, and on top of that, Varese, right? That's still a thing. Like keeping your people alive, like being able to see more mechanics helps you prog, and their damage is not that far behind Black Mage.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Yeah, which is why I think Black Mage in Samurai too. Samurai is like right now, Samurai's trying way harder than Reapers and Monks probably. Monks a bit hard. Reapers a little bit on the easier side, but like Samurais are trying much harder for like still less damage, and they're not really giving anything to the party, so they definitely need a buff too.
When you gentlemen kind of laughed at me there, I wasn't just saying, hey, like, buff my Black Mage. It was actually Red Mage that kind of made me feel like my Black Mage was lagging a little behind. And when I had said that, Savage wasn't out yet, so I really didn't be like, we need a buff right now. You know, I was like, let's wait, let's see what happens with Savage and everything. But it was because of my Red Mage. It kind of felt like if I'm going to be doing X damage with my Black Mage, and I can do X damage, or maybe X minus a fraction of X, why wouldn't I bring the class that has a raise, can toss an emergency cure, has infinitely more versatility and utility? Because Black Mages, we don't have a lot of utility. We just kind of come in and blow it up, and then, you know, okay. So it was kind of like, well, why would I bring my Black Mage then? So that was kind of where the impetus for me, Kronos, was that, you know, my Black Mage doesn't feel great. It feels fine, like it's fun to play and it does its damage and I clear everything. But if I was going to go into Savage tomorrow, this again at the time Savage had not launched yet. If I'm going to go into Savage tomorrow, I'd probably just take my Red Mage to scrape a little extra utility out of it, Tark.
Yeah, it's all great points from both of you. My concern is the weird hole that Summoner's in. And I got this huge rework, but it doesn't have the damage, it seems, that Red Mage or Black Mage has. It seems like they're nudging it towards the physical ranged.
Well, see, what they do is they counterbalance that by putting out big-ass summons, obstructing my vision, breaking my Black Mage rotation, and bring my DPS down to where theirs is. That's what's going on. That's how they do it.
To me, the Summoner and Paladin stuff feels a bit intentional from Square's side, because they're so mobile, right? Like Paladin can pull away from the boss for 8 GCDs now, and like they're basically arranged for that duration. Summoner can move more than almost sometimes more than dancers in them. Like Summoner has 3
Neobari knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. The Titan butt debuff is real. It is absolutely real.
You got to do that pet size. But yeah, they have 4 hard-casted GCDs every 2 minutes, I think. That's it. So it's like they're moving around just like a physical range. So I think Square dinged them for that, but then they realized that that's wrong. They gave them the buff. The Phoenix buff actually helped quite a bit. Their still behind, but I think by design, like again, Paladin should probably be behind all 3 of the tanks in damage. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just how
Yeah.
much they're behind right now is insane.
Sure.
That's my biggest problem. I think Summoner will always be the third like caster in terms of damage, but you get that kind of flow. Like it flows really good. Like when you play Summoner, it actually feels really good. I think that's the thing about Summoner and Reaper and even Sage too. Like they're basically the new jobs. You can tell they're like new design jobs because if they just flow so much better and they feel so much more forgiving than the older jobs that are kind of like pigeonholed in these different weird old systems. Like Reaper, you can kind of like mess up a little bit and kind of get back on track. Same with Summoner. I mean, like you'll lose a little bit, but like you're just kind of going through your stuff, and so you don't really feel punished as much like you would with other jobs. So I think you
Well,
might.
and
start
that was one of the big revamps or reasons for the revamp to Summoner was because it was just absolutely punishing.
Yeah.
When you screwed up, or for God forbid you died.
Yeah.
Then after your res, you might as well just go ahead and sit in the corner and just watch everything go out. The Q saying every time one of those giant summons appears on the field, I think we got a new ad. Yeah,
Yeah.
It still happens
That's
too.
nice. That's
You ever
nice.
see-
Still.
You ever
It
see
still
3 in one
happens.
party? Three
Yeah.
summoners in one party? That gets
Oh my god.
yeah.
I have a question though. With the WoW transplants, do we think that maybe is contributing to this notion that some jobs are not viable? Because WoW is notorious for having really sketchy job balance or class balance there, whereas some classes and some trees there just aren't viable in that high-end rating or mythics. Do you think that maybe part of that is contributing to this kind of attitude?
I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. I remember having this discussion back when Heaven's Word came out or was getting ready to come out, back on Gamebreaker or on State of the Realm with Mr. Happy. I remember when Ninja was released, Kronos, you said almost exactly the same thing we said back then. You can feel that this is a newer class when you play it. It just plays differently. And then we said the same thing when Red Mage came out and Gunbreaker. It was like you could tell that these were newer classes. I just think that's a byproduct of the dev team learning, the game evolving, time going by, that you have new classes that you know how you want them to behave, how you want them to be played, and so you build them that way.
Yeah.
But then you're still stuck in Black Mage works like this.
Mhm.
And we might be able to add things to it and spice it up or give it new spells or make these spells work just a little bit differently. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be an Enochian cycle, fire, 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 fire 2, or fire 4, 4, 4, 1, whatever your opener is. Some of you doing cold openers, some of you doing hot ones. I don't care what you do. Have fun. But you're still stuck in the mechanics. So without a huge Summoner-esque rework, they're still going to play like they've always played to a certain degree. So it's trying to fit what you've done in the past into where you think you should be going in the future. And I don't think that has anything to do with people coming from other games.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But go ahead, Dark.
I was just saying about the attitude of the players and saying, no, we can't have paladins. They're just not doing the damage they need to.
So we had that in Heaven's Word. I don't know.
Yeah, Heaven's Word. That's why that's the one that popped into my head real quick was Heaven's Word.
With Paladin.
Neobari is
Paladin
mentioning 4.0, and we did see some of that
magic
there too. But I thought Heaven's Word is where Paladins in particular.
Paladins right now are underperforming because they're just undertuned, I think. Paladins back then were unplayable. They were bad. But you could still clear with them. It was like way more of a detriment. And even like back then, like if you weren't bringing a Dragoon and a Bard Machinist and probably both, you were a detriment.
The synergies there during Heaven's Ward were absolutely lost.
And that's all gone now. So I don't think Paladin's like in some unplayable spot, but this balance right now I do think is worse than probably anything we had all last expansion. And I think that's where it comes from. I think you have a lot of raiders that just raided in Shadowbringers, and the balance during most of Shadowbringers, like probably 90% of it was stellar, very good.
Yeah.
And I think right now we're in a weird spot where there are just some jobs that are underperforming. But at the same time,
which always happens.
Yeah, but at the same time,
always happens.
They can clear. Like those jobs can clear right now. It's just they're just not doing as like the gap is too big, and I think they should fix that. Which I think is what this patch they're trying to do. I just hope they target the right things. Is really
It's important to say though that none of this is abnormal. Right? This isn't like they forgot how to balance all of a sudden. And there's always balance issues in MMOs, whether it's Final Fantasy XIV or something else, particularly when you do add new classes and stuff like that. I kind of agree that it's a little more pronounced in this expansion than it was in the last one. That's why it maybe feels a little bit of like a bigger deal right now. Not necessarily because there are more, people talking about it. I just. Anyway, that's my take on it.
I think that's
basically
accurate.
Bring the player with the skill. Don't worry so much about the job.
Odds are the paladin.
You can clear.
Yeah, odds are the paladin you're not bringing is probably going to hit his buttons better than the guy that you're searching for the particular role, because there are people that are good on those jobs, and just because you bring one doesn't mean they're going to outperform the guy on the other one. Like player skill still is a thing.
And you paladins, when you see that in the party finder. And looking for groups no paladins, they aren't people you wanted to be friends with anyway.
Put them on the blacklist. Move on.
They aren't people you want. Those aren't the kind of people you need in your life. Those aren't the kind of people. Speaking of jobs, currently looking at what's going to be, I guess I should say, the next poster job for 7.0. I mean, it's early, but for us as players, it's early. For them as devs, you always got to be X patches ahead, X expansions ahead, ready to go. Not surprising that they're thinking about it. I know we had the discussion a lot going into Endwalker, and we made a lot of supposition and guesses, all of which were ultimately wrong, going into it based on things we had seen or heard in Shadowbringers. Let's take all of that off the table, gents. I'm not tying you to any, they said chemist, and these people are chemists, and this boss is a necromancer. Take that all off there. Doesn't care. Wish list. Wish list it, gentlemen. Tark, you got to pick. It's you and Yoshi P sitting down. Who is the poster job for 7.0 if Tark gets to make the final call?
If I get to make the call, I'd say Red Mage. I think it could be an exciting cinematic experience, visual experience for trailers. I'd like to see Red Mage do it.
Kronos?
See, I'd want it to be White Mage, but I would worry for what he just said, actually. Like, I don't know how the trailer would be cool. I would be worried about that, the cinematic part of it. But I would probably want White Mage to be the poster job. We haven't had a healer, but that's probably because of the trailer thing, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Freycore saying Blue Mage.
They would get roasted. If Blue Mage was a poster job, they would get roasted.
They would have to transition that to an actual job for that.
I mean, obviously I would say Black Mage, but I already had my day in the sun, right? Way back when. So I think I kind of got to go Red Mage too. Just from my heart. But I would like to see a healer. Spotlighted. The trailer's gonna suck, but I would like to see a healer.
Sage might not be too bad in a trailer.
I think it's too soon. It's too soon.
I do too.
I don't think you see Sage as the poster in 7.0 when it was just released in 6.0. Yeah. I'm honestly, I feel like it. I feel like maybe White Mage actually. It's just such an iconic job, right?
It is.
That hasn't really had a spotlight.
And Black Mage is too.
Yeah, but arguably, wasn't that a Realm Reborn?
Yeah, I guess you could argue that. Yeah.
That was like the primary marketing material for a Realm Reborn was the eye patch hat artifact gear.
I still see him as a warrior though, like in my mind.
Yeah, he's a warrior.
Yoshi P had some other stuff to say on Mog Station Radio, including a discussion about the Asians and the original source/inspiration. Now, this is from a post on Reddit, the one I'm going to be quoting here by Okuraku. So thank you so much for posting that and doing some of this translation work. So the translation goes a little like this, gentlemen. And who is N? I'm sorry. I don't know who the name is. Oh God, who was he? Who was Yoshi P talking to?
I don't remember his name either, to be honest.
All right. So they say, is asking anything okay? And Yoshi P says, I'll just pretend you didn't ask, so go ahead. Laughs. About the Asians. When I was doing my first work on 14, and if you remember who he was talking to, please remind me. I'm having a brain fart in chat. When I was doing my first work on 14, it was almost 2.0 or just after 2.0 maybe. But in the documents that came with the script, it was written, the original inspiration for the Asians is, and Yoshi P cuts him off and says, yes, it's gone. And he said, I figured it's gone. Yoshi P. Yep, no more. 100% gone? Yeah, right. I mean, if it were still true, it'd be really weird, right? Is what I was thinking all along. And Yoshi P says, yeah, that. In the beginning, a fellow named Kazutoyo Mihiro had just gone and written all the settings in one burst. And, well, I'm assuming what you're referring to, but, and they say, oh, great. Yoshi P says, I thought this will definitely not pass. He says, oh, my God, me too. I thought, wow, this passed? Yoshi says, no, that didn't pass. Okay, Yoshi continues, right. So once we'd removed that, actually, we had not decided what to do. So like the ASEAN inspiration is kind of thing. And he says, right, the number of seats was decided. I guess we'll fill in the gap for real around the time of patch 3.x. Now, if that sounds broken, it's because it is. There's a lot of cutting each other off and not letting people finish the sentences. So we don't actually get to know what they're referencing here, but there was apparently something in the original script that they thought was a bit, I don't know, questionable, dicey, curious about the origin of the Asians, that they thought, wow, I'm amazed this even made it through approval process. And now all of a sudden, no, that just got rewritten. They just got rewritten. Yeah, they had Kryle's Japanese voice actress on as a guest too. I don't think it was her though that was talking about this part. And I can't click to find out because I have a timestamp, but I can't click to find out without you guys hearing all of it. I'm not surprised that stuff gets cut, retconned, rewritten, and stuff like this. But Kronos, this just makes me want to know what that was even more.
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. At first, I thought they were talking about just like that it's like related to 12 and tactics, but that's still obviously the case. So it's like they can't be that. So I have no idea. I'm kind of curious too, just to see what it was. But
Any
I feel
guesses? I mean, you kind of like a little bit of predict the lore guy.
I don't. I have no guess for this one because like at first when I was reading this, I was confused. Like when I clicked on this when you linked it, and I was like, "What are they talking about?" And then I was like, "Well, they definitely didn't retcon that because all their names still follow that same."
There are ASEAN dialogue pieces that if you look back in like A Realm Reborn and stuff they kind of don't make sense, or they seem weird or seem out of place, or they seem to be referencing something that we never circled back to or we never found out more about.
Yeah, it's
so there's definitely it's apparent that changes were made in direction.
For sure.
You know.
Yeah.
I think it might be referring to the Scions of Light from 12. And I took some of the names from them. Even the glyphs kind of reference some of those espers from 12.
It's the
so
same.
Maybe they're I think they borrowed from there, but they're not. I think they're referencing not directly linking 14 to 12 in that way.
Well, I don't think they're the same characters, but it's definitely, to me, they're definitely still inspired.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Because like even their zodiacs are all the same. Like we haven't seen all the Asians. That maybe that's something too. It's like there's still a bunch that we haven't seen, and I don't know if we're ever going to see them. I'm not sure because now we've gone through that kind of whole story, and I don't know how much we're going to get after Pandemonium. So I'll be curious to see that because I'm still interested to see the rest of them and get a little bit more lore on them. And I think you're right. I think around Storm, like while they were doing Stormblood, because Stormblood doesn't have a ton of ASEAN stuff in it until the end. You could tell they were pivoting.
Yeah.
I think from then on, and that's how you get Shadowbringers, because Shadowbringers is like the first real story where you're just like, okay, this has weight to it. It's not just some dudes in black robes scheming in the background. So yeah, I don't know what it is though. I have no idea.
And then we got some could you guys and gals behave on the internet talk.
Good luck
Yoshi
with that.
P kind of coming to the defense of his staff, something he's, been known to do. Always kind of taking the I screwed this up approach. Like even the last time, most recently, when Endwalker was delayed 2 weeks, this is all on me. Everybody else's stuff was all ready. It was all set. Nobody was late. The team did a great job. This is all on me. He's done that before, but this time he's kind of going back to bat for the team. And I'm not going to read this entire thing to you, but he says, really, it's just one thing here. Of course, I'm thankful and grateful for players to tell us that we should do this or we should do that and whatnot. But verbal abuses are something we wish could stop. While I would like to think of myself as having a strong mental level in Japan, but not everyone shares the same mental strength as I do. Ever since the unfortunate release delay of the expansion, and we did ask players to be mindful of spoilers, but for some reason there seems to be some haters of the game. Again, translation, so give a little bit of leeway here on any slang used. It's probably used on behalf of the translator trying to get the idea across more than the actual language used. Laying around attacking other players despite not playing the game, and it was quite glaring, and I felt as if those strong words used in arguments against people ended up holding people back because of this. There is a frequently used example or metaphor here. It's like seeing the condition of a car in New York downtown gets worse when it's already in bad enough condition. In other words, it's somehow an acceptable mindset to just let it happen. That's why it will result in staff members getting gradually hurt, and it's especially evident when the staff members work so hard on it, and this doesn't help anyone, neither the staff members nor the players either. This will completely drain away their motivation, and worse, they'll end up quitting because of it, which is why I hope that everyone can understand that. Considering things have been getting really extreme lately, and with staff members putting their all to make it work. I mean, of course, I don't mean everything should just be given praise. Mistakes are mistakes, of course, and they should be notified, but I'll appreciate it if everyone can give careful thought in their thoughts and feedback before sending them over. We have never, gentlemen, seen anything like this from Yoshi P. And I know a lot of people take a lot of pride, maybe too much pride in some cases, at what a great community Final Fantasy XIV has. What a great community 14 has. And that is true to a very large degree, particularly when compared to other MMOs out there over the last decade. However, that doesn't mean that this type of stuff isn't happening. The very aggressive feedback, the death threats, the verbal abuse from community to community member, from community to team, and things like that. But I feel like things had to have ramped up quite a bit. And he specifically cites the Endwalker delay as kind of a starting point for this, for Yoshi P to feel like he needed to come out and say, when you give feedback, these are people you're talking to. These are people behind here, Tark.
Yep, we're all people. We need to start treating people better, whether it's game developers or just other players. Heck, even going to the party finder, excluding certain, job preferences. This kind of attitude just doesn't have a place. It's not constructive, doesn't bring anything positive or anything moving forward. It's negative. It makes people feel bad. Why do it? And I know the anonymous nature of the internet, you can say and do what you want, but it doesn't mean it's right. You guys need to check yourselves, your little seedy underbelly.
Kronos, how you feel? I was
Yeah, I
kind of
agree.
sad to see him addressing this like this.
Yeah, me too. I mean, sad thing is that it's not unexpected. I think I kind of expect, like, there's people that are just gonna do that. I think
And that's kind of the point that he's making, though,
Yeah.
is that there is a certain degree of Well, that's to be expected. He uses the New York car breaking down on the road where nobody just pays attention to it anymore. You know, the people being shitty, it is what it is.
Yep. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for this community, at least in my opinion, is we need to be like better about that kind of stuff, like our criticism and like our feedback in general. I feel like we're kind of bad. Like we love the game, but as soon as someone talks bad about the game or does something or that we don't like the community just like jumps on them like a pack, and we kind of just need to like have a conversation. And I think this is the same kind of thing too. It's like instead of just being upset, I understand people were upset when the delay happened, but like we can just like have an actual conversation instead of like just ridicule and like jumping on someone and personally attacking them or whatever. That's just like unacceptable. So I this just proves that
it was tough to read. It was tough to read.
Yoshi P is a good boss. That's what this proves to me.
Yep.
Bosses will always go to bat for their employees, and he's always there. Like even when it's not his fault, he'll jump in front. So
yeah, it was tough to read. Neobari, you know, I'd like to say Neobari's wrong in chat, but he's not. It says it doesn't help that we keep getting sent to the official forums for our feedback, and that place is a cesspool.
It's bad, yeah.
Yeah, the official forums aren't great. They're, you know, I'd like to go, oh, Neobari's overreacting, but
he's not, unfortunately.
You're not.
Yeah, it's because Japan uses it a lot. It's one of those things where like Japan uses the official forums and the community finder, which is like things that NA just doesn't touch at all. So
let's end some Final Fantasy XIV talk on some good things here. Let's go wholesome, gentlemen. Let's go wholesome. You know, like Reddit.
Yeah, no toxicity on Reddit.
There's no toxicity on Reddit. But let's play another round of We Found It on the Final Fantasy XIV Reddit. We did this a few episodes back. Everybody seemed to like it. So let's do it again. We brought a couple with them. I got to say, I remember showing you gents one of a couple hiding themselves with blankets so that they weren't spoiling story for their partners.
That was awesome.
Well, here is a contender for Girlfriend of the Year. This is from Craig666 Christ on YouTube. Says, girlfriend's been logging me in early so I can play when I get home from work. Then she surprises me with this for my birthday. And look at that lovely pillow. This world is currently full. Players in queue 83,628. That is tremendous. That is absolutely tremendous. That is Girlfriend of the Year contender material right there. Not only does he get the cool pillow, but she's been logging him in early.
That's amazing.
Every day so he can play when he gets home from work. Lots of people chiming in that their significant others have been doing fun stuff like that too.
I had my girlfriend log me in a couple times. So
I don't have that kind of partner, unfortunately, but yeah, I don't know whether to love this pillow or want to, see the hatred into it.
Yeah, it does. Maybe it's like an anger pillow, right? Here, when you get angry, punch this.
No, you sleep through that queue. That's an 8-hour queue at least.
Yeah.
8 hours. That's a bit
like
optimistic.
This, you lay your head down here. And you just go to sleep.
So definitely a huge Reddit thumbs up for that one. Rockout2112 brings a question to Reddit, and I want to know your answers, gentlemen. Says, okay, you're a citizen of Eorzea. You can be anything except a heroic adventurer / warrior of light. What's your race? But more importantly, what is your occupation? What is your job in Eorzea, Kronos?
Well, it's easy. I'm a Lalafell, because that's what I already am.
Ugh.
And I'm the luxury mount seller, dude. That's me.
That kind of makes sense. Yeah. That kind of makes sense.
I don't know. I see you more as the used mount salesman.
Oh,
that's not
when you're done. When you're done riding them, you sell them. Well, it doesn't have to exist. Some people had
the chocobo border.
Like J Knight 3135 on Reddit says a corpse, most likely.
I would not survive this. I saw.
Destiny Saga says that they're a Namazu working as cleanup staff, the crew that resets dungeons, refills the treasure coffers, sets up the stage so the next party of adventurers can go through the dungeon and enjoy. Tark, what about you?
I'd probably have to be a dwarf, not Lalafell dwarf.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not. And I'd probably
Lalafells
like
are potatoes.
Yes, exactly.
But the dwarves
Alchemist
are just
assistant or alchemist of that, something of that nature to dive into my own personal professional background.
So I'm an Ellison. I mean, I'm over 6 feet tall, so I think that kind of makes sense, right?
There you go.
And I'm the guy that teaches people how to play Lord of Verminion. That's my job. I stand there all day just teaching people how to play
That's a
Lord.
lonely
Still need
job.
27
That
wins.
is a lonely job. Have you
Yeah.
tried queuing for a tournament lately? I
No.
need
Since I got my
I
minion.
think I need 1 or 2 double victory wins. I think you need a total of 4, and I'm like halfway through or whatever. And I really am looking at it going, why didn't I just do this when I banged out all the other Lords of Verminion achievements when it first came out? Because I ripped through all of them in like a week and a half, 2 weeks or whatever, except those 2. And I'm like, right now I'm paying for it. I'm like, I should have just done this back then.
You find one other person, a good, three person party.
Yeah.
We could feed you wins, and then you guys
just
feed me wins for my minion.
Keep trading and feeding wins.
Now we're colluding.
Yeah, Baron Vagabond says, I'm the guy who's always lifting that box, LOL. Neobari says, clearly a Piazza staring off into the distance in the sea of clouds. That's a good job to have. That's a good job to have. What do you gotta do today? I gotta stare off into the sunset. Stare off into the sunset. Take a look at this cosplay. So credit to this one on Yo Mikey Hay is the person that posted it to Reddit, but I also tracked it down to the original Twitter account so that I could give credit to the actual poster of this. And that was from @Dalto, DALLTO, on Twitter. Final Fantasy XIV Gaia, obviously Oracle of Darkness cosplay. Look at it. That is not CGI. That is actual cosplay. How dope is that, guys? That just looks amazing. Amazing.
That is a very intricate. The ring, especially in the back, that had to be a lot of work getting that molded and set. And I put it in the show notes. You just need to plug Kristen Ritter into that, and you've nailed it. Jessica Jones, right there.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Then I asked the gentlemen's, hey, if you got one that you want to do. And Tark came back with this. 50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
I lived there once.
Yep. Used to be there. Now
there's nobody there.
If you want a quiet place to do your crafting.
It's definitely quiet. It's definitely quiet these days. Definitely quiet these days. All Saints Wake. We get it, gents. We get it. Finally. That clown gear is freaking creepy. Do you think that's like Yoshi P going here? Feed these fucking clowns. It's just like if I gotta talk to them about being nice and feedback all these damn clowns.
Yeah, I have an outfit to represent my gameplay. I'm good.
Anything else? Anything else 14 related, gents? Before we slide over to Square Enix stuff and finish up.
I do think I'm gonna replay the entire game as that clown though.
I saw you tweet that. Like, what a joker.
I even reference MMO Bomb. Go visit MMO Bomb. It pays the bills.
It does pay the bills. It does pay the bills. This gig, it don't pay the bills. You haven't been following on Twitch and YouTube and Twitter lately, peoples. Felt bad. In other Square Enix stuff, Team Asano teases multiple titles are going to be announced from their team within Square Enix and released in 2022. Now, if you're unfamiliar, this is the formerly known as Business Division 11, now Team Asano. They're kind of merged and now part of Creative Business Unit 2 within the company. They're Bravely Default 2, Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy, upcoming. Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake. Say that 5 times real fast. Ooh, I just burped. Excuse me. But they say, hey, we're working on other stuff, and we're going to announce that later this year. They tweeted out like a Happy New Year's image. I got to ask, gentlemen, does this mean the Tactics remake is a thing? Like, I can't think of what other team would be working on it, right? Like, this is the team you would want working on it, right?
I would think so.
Yeah, it seems like they're dealing with the aesthetic that would lend itself pretty well to Tactics remake. So,
but then there were the rumors that Tactics remake was being handled by an outside company, that Square had given it to somebody else. Remember?
doesn't mean they can't pull it back like Final Fantasy VII remake.
That would feel great. Dude, we're going to work on a Tactics remake. Jimmy, did you check your email? No, I haven't. I've been too excited about working on this Tactics remake. Jimmy, I'm going to need you to sit down and check your email.
Did you get the memo?
Yeah. By the way, if you finish your TPS reports. Final Fantasy XVI, we talked last week or the week before, whenever, I think it was last week, that's probably going to be backed up about 6 months because of COVID, and now we're not getting a big reveal until, spring, summer of this year. And apparently the word on the streets, I was at the bus stop the other day, going to take the bus to downtown Pittsburgh, and the word on the street was that delay has then in turn delayed announcements coming out of Square Enix about other PlayStation exclusives, including the next one, which, from what we know in the rumors, is not related to Kingdom Hearts, is not related to Final Fantasy, and is not related to Dragon Quest. It's some new PlayStation exclusive reveal. But according to VGC journalist Jordan Midler, Square Enix initially planned to announce the new PlayStation exclusive around this time. However, Square Enix had to push the next big Final Fantasy XVI reveal to spring of 2022. The delay was mostly due to production issues, COVID, and stuff like that. Unfortunately, that also meant that Square Enix would also postpone the new game announcement so that it wouldn't divert attention away from Final Fantasy XVI. And I just got to ask, gentlemen, was anything going to divert attention away from Final Fantasy XVI? Like, if you told me, hey, Square Enix is making a new PlayStation exclusive title, Tark, and I was like, oh, cool. And you said, hey, but it's not Final Fantasy, it's not Kingdom Hearts, it's not Dragon Quest, I would be like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I like Square Enix. And then you immediately said, hey, want to talk about Final Fantasy 16? I'd be like, yeah, let's talk about Final Fantasy 16. Like, nothing is going to divert me away from that. Niabari saying 7 Remake Part 2 would, that's it. But I don't think they're going to make 7 Remake Part 2 a PlayStation exclusive. Of course, I think they're going to do timed, just like they did with the first one. But this is referring to a PlayStation exclusive title. I don't think 7 Remake Part 2 fits the bill there. And again, that it's not Final Fantasy related, at least according to this rumor, so it would not be Final Fantasy VII. Niabari's right. Maybe that could distract, but we know that's not in the ballpark. So I kind of question delaying this one, actually. I kind of question it. Because if you're going to delay it, you have to commit now to delaying it beyond spring. And if you were planning on announcing it now, you've now built in a 5-month delay for a title that isn't bearing the Final Fantasy name, isn't bearing the Dragon Quest name, and isn't building the Kingdom Hearts name. So generally speaking, if it's not something we're very, very familiar with, it maybe could use a little help on the hype train, the advertising train. I mean, unless they come out with like, it's Tomb Raider, or Marvel Avengers 2 or something along those lines. Marvel Avengers 2, I don't think you announced it.
Sick.
I think you just, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. I think I would love it to be Parasite Eve, Niabari in chat. I mean, I would love it to be Parasite Eve. But you know what? I have the ability to be excited. Yeah, that's my point. I have the ability to be excited about 2 titles. I have that mental capability.
If they're thinking about Windows, like the Windows here now, do it. I mean, unless the game's not anywhere close to
I would have thought you'd take advantage of the Final Fantasy being backed, 16 being backed up.
You have this window open to push some advertising, especially if the title's close to being done. If it's nowhere close to being done, then maybe I understand pushing it back then. If like 16's delay coincides with this other title being delayed. Maybe I don't know. But as far as just pure marketing advertising, like the window's there, you're not promoting 16. You have this window, do it. I don't understand why. And if it's not one of those big threes, it doesn't affect it. I'm sorry, it just doesn't.
I think some dates must have like coincided. I think that might be the issue, because like if they were going to announce,
but they already did.
Maybe
like they were planning. If the rumor's true, and they were planning to announce it around now, they were also planning to talk more about 16 around now, late December, early January. Back that up to spring. So they were already almost stacked on each other within about a month's time frame anyway.
Yeah, but what if like 16's like planned release date had been sometime like much before that planned release date, and now that's been moved out, so they moved the other one out? I could see that happening. I don't know.
Right, but they're not saying Final Fantasy 16 sitting on this new title. They're talking about they don't want this new title to detract from 16. The other way around, Kronos, I totally would get.
I think that's BS. I think it's the other way around. But that's
the other way around, I could totally get.
Yeah.
You know, this little no-name title or lesser name title, because we don't know exactly what it is, right? This little lesser name title, we don't want 16 to just stomp on it.
Yeah.
And totally squelch it. I don't know. We'll see. Kingdom Hearts 20th celebration this year. Another rumor. Not a lot here on, but, you know, it's their major Kingdom Hearts news being teased. This comes from Jeff Grubb, who tweeted out a bunch of 2022 Summer Games Mess stuff. January, we got Elder Scrolls Online event, expansion/DLC. February, DICE Summit. March, Game Developer Conference. May 4th, May the 4th be with you. May 22nd is the Star Wars celebration. And then has the note, spring, Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary event and Final Fantasy 16 trailers and information. June obviously goes into E3 in August at Gamescom. I know Kronos doesn't care about a 20th anniversary Kingdom Hearts celebration, but do you, Tark?
Not really. No, not really.
Well, all right.
Congratulations. You've been in 20 years. Your last one was, I guess, a flop. I mean,
it sold okay.
Yeah, it sold fine. A little bit of a sidebar. This isn't directly related to Square Enix in particular, but since Final Fantasy XIV is cross-platform in that you can play on the PlayStation and you can play on the PC. My son's going to love any 20th anniversary that they have planned. I did want to just get a real quick opinion on this. We don't have to talk about this for very long. But in an interview, Phil Spencer from Xbox actually expressed the thought that he wants not only Microsoft and PlayStation, but also Nintendo to work together to put cross-platform banning in place. So that if you get banned from the Xbox something or a particular game on Xbox, that you would then get banned from that game across all the platforms. Or from the platform itself, depending on how egregious your banning was. He also talked how he would like to be able to transfer his banned list, like his blocked user list, from one gaming network to another. So not necessarily just limited to consoles there. Now, obviously, that would require a lot of coordination between companies that generally don't coordinate well. Even when it comes to cross-play. So let's set that aside for a minute. Let's set aside privacy concerns in that all of these companies handle personal data in different ways, some of them better than others, Sony, and also have different rules and regulations that they have. Like, just set all of the problems with this idea aside for a second, Jensen. Just at the 30,000-foot view level, I don't like this. Not that I've been banned from games or anything like that, but I don't like the idea of, like, this. To me, this feels a lot like if you got caught having sex on the bus and so they banned you from riding the bus, you now can't take a taxi cab either. Like, that doesn't feel right to me, and so this kind of doesn't feel right to me. And yes, that analogy is mine. Mike Byrne, 2022. Are you okay with this? Does this even remotely seem like a good idea?
I'm not for the same reason you're not. There's just you can't really draw those.
You want to be able to take a cab when you get caught having sex on the bus. That's why.
Not exactly that, but
well, you said the same reason.
the idea, the idea of it, not the exact. But yeah, I think it's really also hard for me to ignore all those like problems that they would have implementing this. But if I could ignore that, I still think the problem is like you would have to have like some kind of shared thing between all of them to prove that it's like the same person. And then now it's weird. And like you said, it's like it's two different things. It's like the bus and the cab. So it's like,
but Ark, man, that would really help with some of the stuff we were just talking about, and like racist and homophobic and slurring, language slurs and stuff in games. If you knew, dude, if I get booted here, I can't play it anywhere. I can't play anywhere unless I spin up new accounts on all of this stuff. And that's a pain in the ass at a certain point.
That's a pain in the ass, and it's a very slippery slope. I don't like it. Don't approve of it. Beyond the logistical issues. And what they're saying is, if you're banned from your bus, you're not just banned from the bus where you are. You're banned from the bus on the rest of the country. That's just what they're trying to lay out there. And unless you're wearing some nice disguise and buying a new account,
I'm like, hey, Phil, let's just figure out crossplay for everything first.
That's my thing first.
Let's just do that.
You told me to
let's just do that.
So
Phil, I generally consider you to be a decent guy, particularly maybe a little more customer-centric than some of the others that hold your type of positions. But let's figure that out first. Justin in chat saying, not to mention consoles are not played by a single person in the household. Well, I mean, they wouldn't be banning the console. They'd be banning the account, and you can have multiple accounts on the console. So I don't think that's really a concern there. Let's slide over and do Love It or Leave It. Well, now I just want to go have sex on a bus. I want to get some dinner first, I think. Some dinner first. Welcome to Love It or Leave It, the last segment of every episode of the Relic Grind here on Ready Check Radio. This is where I give you something Square Enix related. Could be a feature in a game, could be a game itself, a press release, anything. Last week it was NFTs and Square's New Year's love letter to them and the metaverse. Fuck you. This week...
Love letter.
This week, I'm going to give you one, and we kind of touched on this before, but now we got our opinions in. It looks like the dev team's gotten some opinion in, so I want to know, love it or leave it for the NPC follow system introduced in Endwalker. And by this one, I mean, if we leave it, we don't see it in any more expansions. If we love it, it is a staple in some way, maybe not as big as it was in Endwalker, but it will be something you see in every expansion going forward. That's the bar. Love it or leave it, Tark.
With those stipulations, I'm going to say love it. They just need to make some tweaks to it, though.
That's fair. I mean, normally I don't let you gray area or fence it like that or put a qualifier on it, but I'm going to let you do it on that one because they've already said they're going to tweak it. So I'm going to let that go.
Okay.
Judges.
All
right, that's been allowed. So you are
judge.
allowed to love it. You are allowed to love it. Kronos.
Yeah, I'm leaving it. I don't give a crap.
I'm going to leave it too. Burn that son of a bitch down.
We already summoned 7 other people. Like, my version's broken all the time. I don't need to follow people. So I'm leaving it.
Justin says, let NPCs follow me, but without any restrictions. Just let me have my team follow me in general.
Yeah, they need to tweak it.
Just let them follow me in general. Chat, that's going to do it for the Relic Grind here today, but don't go anywhere. Right after today's show, we've got Ms. Faye Death coming back with a live stream Thursday evening hangout. Hi, Faye. How are you?
How about you?
I can't complain. What are we playing tonight?
So we have 16% left on Alien.
Oh, are you kidding me? You didn't quite get there.
Not quite. And I have a really bad plan to get us through the part that we're stuck on. So hopefully it works. It'll be a good time.
I'm intrigued. I'm sure chat is too. We'll turn it over to Faye in just a few seconds. After we finish the show here, we'll go dark, relabel stuff. By the way, if you're looking for an MMO community and you want to check out like a Discord that can do that, MMO Buds. Go check out my boy's stuff. MMO Buds on Twitter. You can check it out. It's just if you're just looking for a social group to play a bunch of different games with, there's a ton of different people in there. It's not sponsored by or supported by or part of Ready Check Raideo. It's just a Buds thing. I happen to be in their Discord doing a bunch of things and hanging out and playing new games with new people. So if you're just looking for a good time, I shouldn't say that, right? If you're looking for a good time, head on over to MMO Buds. But yeah, this is one of my boys' projects, so let me help promote it. To those of you that have not clicked the subscribe or follow button here on Twitch, it's been 2 days. This is the first time in a year somebody has not followed the page. Help us out. Help us out. We love you. Until next time, we'll be back next Thursday with another episode of the Relic Grind, but we'll be back here Saturday with an episode of Gaming Gumbo reviewing the week in gaming. Until then, Kronos, where can everybody find you?
Same as always, Twitter. I'm sure this weekend after the Eagles lose, I'll be on there, not happy. And maybe next week I'll clear Savage. So I'll post about that.
Well, like I said, I'm just glad that the Kansas City Chiefs are throwing Ben a retirement party. I think that's really nice of them, saying, come on down to Kansas City. We'll have a good time. What about you, Tark? Where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at Tarkoth Gaming. I'm going to be sad because my team's not playing this week. It's just... we have a bye. That's right, because we're that good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there, Magic Man 1. But more importantly, follow at RC Radio, RAIDEO. And we'll tweet every time we go live with a podcast or one of our volunteer streamers who I love very much starts their shows. Come, hang out, click follow, give them much love. Until next time, gang, stay safe. We'll see you on the servers. Later.